Hello, hello, hello. Check one, two, check one, two. Let me get this hooked on my shirt so I can just talk freely to you guys. All right, cool. What's going on, y'all? Essentially, I just want to, make another video. It's been a minute since I made a YouTube video. So YouTube will be for like my long talking points and things of that nature, but and then like Instagram, TikTok and all of that stuff will be for like my my little shorts and reels and all of that good stuff, you know what I'm saying? um but yeah, but first of all, I want to thank you guys for the response and all of the love and the admiration from my last reel that I just put up, um titled Remember Who You Are, Weird Black Boy. So, you know, I made that video just on some random shit, man. You know what I'm saying? Really just being myself, just being my authentic self. Um, with how stressful life is and can be, I feel like everybody's in that like pivotal transitional phase or like going through these quantum shifts where like, we're all like leaving an old life that wasn't really in alignment with who we are, who we truly are at our core. You know what I'm saying? So you know I feel like we're all kind of going through that phase. So I really made that video as just a reminder to myself, like, remember who the fuck you are, kid. You know what I'm saying? At your core. This is why you've been feeling depressed. This is why you haven't been feeling like yourself as of lately, because you let life, you let the job, you let, these corporate infrastructures kind of like strip away your individuality, your authenticity into this, corporate acceptable version of yourself that doesn't even make you feel good. You know what I mean? So um and it's like you're doing it to I made it as a reminder to myself. It's just like, like, yo, like you're becoming a different version of yourself to please people who don't like you anyway and that you don't even fucking like. You know what I'm saying? And it's like you kind of like watered yourself down to be like socially acceptable because, at your core, you are an alternative man. And then at the same time, you are a black man, you know what I'm saying? Which is alternative within itself. You know what I'm saying? So you add being, blonde and having piercings and all of this stuff and being into like counterculture type things like skateboarding and, playing the guitar and listening to rock and roll, which isn't like a everyday thing that you see for people of my stature. Be your fucking self, you know what I'm saying? And once you become the person, or you uh you know turn yourself into the archetype of who you are at your core, then life will start to make sense, and the path will become clear because you became the person before you started the journey, before you started to take steps. Because you can't leave a house without having clothes on. You feel what I'm saying? So unless you have, when you put on a certain outfit, you know exactly where you're going. You know what I mean? You put on a uniform, you're going to work. You put on, you know, for the ladies, you put on a skirt, you probably going to like a bar or a little club, whatever the fuck, whatever the case may be. So it's just like you got to become the person before you walk out that door. Yeah, like, but I remember like being a kid and like how I knew I was like an alternative like kid, but I suppressed it though to be socially acceptable, and I don't want to do that no more. Now I don't give a fuck. I'm almost 30 years old, bro. Like at this point, I don't really give a fuck about what people think about me anymore. It's more so about like being true to me. You know what I'm saying? Um, because your body. I saw Jim Carrey say that. He said, depression is your body responding to a character that you're playing that it no longer wants to be anymore, because it knows it's not authentic. And that's literally been me. You know what I'm saying? I've just been, the hey, how you doing, or whatever, how's the weather, all of that shit because, just for the job. But when I come home, I don't invest in my talents. I don't pick up my guitar and play. I don't go outside and skateboard. I don't, even watch the stuff that really, makes me feel like me. I just go to sleep, go to the gym, or, and get ready to, do it again the next day. You know what I'm saying? Without investing time into my craft. I grew up in the early 2000s. I was born in 97, so I was like 10 years old in like 2007. So I remember like around that time period, like, VH1 was like hot, MTV Jams was still playing. TRL had ended at that point. But, um, I didn't really, so I didn't grow up I didn't watch 106 in Park. I didn't. I knew what it was, you know what I'm saying, because people around me, but I didn't watch that shit. In the mornings, it was fucking Nickelback playing on fucking VH1, and goddamn, I remember the first like song that I like when I heard it, and I knew I was like, this is I fucking love this shit. It was I Don't Want to Be in Love by Good Charlotte, and it's so funny how like these little seeds are planted in your childhood, and then you grow up and then you understand what these songs are talking about. I was fucking 10 years old at that point, and that song came out. I'm singing it, singing my heart out. Now, as an older man who has gone through heartbreak and, unrequited love and all this stuff, and being cheated on, and all of this stuff, I'm like, I see what the fuck they were talking about in that song now. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, and then also too, like, I'm a big fucking wrestling fan. I'm a wrestling fanatic. I can tell you shit, about wrestling that, most motherfuckers wouldn't even know. You know what I mean? Because I actually did the training and all of that. I was actually trained to be a professional wrestler at one point, but that's another story for another time. But like, I just remember like, being a kid having my PSP, and I'm playing SmackDown versus Raw 2006, 2007, and 2008 and 2011, all on PSP, and I'm playing these games, and I had, my boy, my best friend DeAndre, shout out to you, bro. He had 2009 and 2010 on Xbox, so I would play those at his house, and then I would have like my PSP or whatever. Bro, I'm telling you, I dead ass would play these games all fucking day. And the only music that's like playing on these games is like rock and roll. They had a few rap songs, like they had like in SmackDown vs. Raw 2008, they had 8 Ball, MJG, that South South stand up, weak niggas man up. They had that song, but it was mostly like rock and roll, like Seven Dust, Puddle of Mud. Um, I can't remember the name of this band, but it was a song that was like, why not saying it was right, but it was right on time. That was my shit. Like, listening to that, and then fucking 3 Days of Grace on SmackDown vs. Raw 2007. Um, you know, it was another song. I'm of course like Animal I Become. But yeah, like that's all I'm listening to. Even on SmackDown vs. Raw 2010, like like these games introduced me to like Breaking Benjamin, Seven Dust, you know what I'm saying? And that was like monumental for me because, the lead singer, he's a black man, you know what I'm saying? 9 Point, Limp Bizkit, you know what I'm saying? Like wrestling really introduced me to all of this stuff, like Drowning Pool, uh, Slipknot, um, you know, even just in pop culture, you know what I'm saying? Like I like, growing up on like Jackass and all of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like you get introduced to that world, man. You know what I mean? But I was always like the oddball out. You know what I'm saying? Because um I couldn't afford like all of the like cool clothes like the other kids and stuff like that. So like I would wear like Chuck Taylors or or like my mama would get me like some stuff from Shoe Carnival or something like that or whatever. So I didn't have the money to truly like express myself. So you know But it wasn't until I became an adult where I'm just like, fuck it, I'm going all in. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my mom though. My mom, did a great job, raising us. But yeah, man, like, it wasn't until I grew up into like, being a working adult where I was able to like express myself, like where I got like my septum pierced and, started dyeing my hair all of these crazy colors. You know what I'm saying? Which I don't know. I just had a night. I was like, I want to do it. You know what I mean? And, wearing, all of this stuff or whatever, not just for the aesthetic, but just expressing myself. It's just like, this is what I'm drawn to. I don't like the clothes that they sell in stores. Like a lot of the clothes that I would make, it would be DIY shit. Like I would paint flames on my jeans and draw like little characters on them and shit like that. I would fucking like like I crop all my tees, cut all my t-shirts. You know what I'm saying? Um, leather jackets and boots and shit like that. Like I don't like gym shoes. You know what I'm saying? The only type of gym shoes that I really like are like Chuck Taylors or Vans because I skate in those. So it's just like I'm not really but I'm really saying all of this to say it's just like yeah, just remember who you are, black boy. Like it's okay. You know what I'm saying? Like if that's who you are at your core, don't let stereotypes box you in. You know what I'm saying? We're not all, uh whatever they try to make us out to be criminals or some shit like that because that's not who we are. You know what I'm saying? We're creative, expressive people and we always been that. And everything, media, all of that shit comes from us. Like, you know what I'm saying? We set the tone for everything. You feel what I'm saying? So, yeah, man. But also somebody who really helped me um come like help me express myself was Willow Smith. Love Willow Smith, bro. Like she's so fucking dope. But like she helped me like really like I'm like you know what, fuck it, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, like when Transparent Soul came out I was like fuck yeah. I was like this is I was like let me just go all in on just let me be who I really want to be. I'm gonna dye my hair blonde, blue, green, purple, fucking, get a septum piercing and, get my nostrils pierced and shit like that and wear like big ass fucking hoop earrings and and wear, fucking Demaya Gravedigger boots and shit. So yeah, like fuck it. Whoever judges me, they judge me. I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? I'm being my true self. I don't really care. So, but yeah, man, But at this point I'm just rambling. So I'm gonna get out of here. But I just really just wanted to make a YouTube video for you guys. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, shout out to you guys. Thank you guys for we're almost at 10K followers. I'm at nine last time I checked, I'm at 9,555, which is fucking dope. So I appreciate you guys. 555. Changes are coming. So but yeah. Thank you guys so much for, all of the love, all of the admiration, all of the engagement. I really appreciate you guys. I really do. You guys give me motivation, and inspiration to express myself truly in my fullness and, give the best content to you guys. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you so much. And I hope you stick around. You know what I mean? Because we're taking this journey together. All right. Peace out.